Okay, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of our CCRAF three-part beginner to business webinar series. It has been exciting. We spoke about developing a small hydroponic enterprise, setting up a small vermicompost enterprise, and here we are today, and we will be discussing developing a small mushroom enterprise. And we have with us today Mrs. Pauline Smith out in Jamaica that will take us through that. So you could rename yourself, as we would have mentioned. We'll be providing the certificate of participation for persons who attended 2 or more of this session. And so after this session, I'll be collating all the names from the free session. So those of you who would have attended 2 or more, an email will be sent to you with your certificate. Please allow me some time, because from this weekend, I will be traveling on mission. We'll be in Jamaica for 2 days next week. So any of you, please send me a message. Possibly we could meet up. I'll be in Kingston. So we're coming there with collaboration CCRAF and an Adopt Caribbean project that is funded by the New Zealand government. So please allow me at least 3 weeks to get this certificate, since I'll be out for the next week or 2. So you can put on your cameras. It's always lovely for me to see the faces and, a lot of persons from across the region. So if you're in a position where you can open your camera, please feel free to do so. Unfortunately, I have to mute your mics because of a lot of the security concerns with Zoom. So I have to mute the mics so that we don't, in case there is any breach, it cannot come through. And so at the end and during the discussion, I will unmute persons once you raise your hand, okay? So, of course, with the CCRAF, we're looking to bring all of us across the region together. We don't need to be directly involved in agriculture, but, other sectors, whatever we do, we impact our environment, it impacts our livelihoods. We need to eat, so agriculture is very important to all of us, no matter what sector we are in, no matter what lifestyle we live. Agriculture is very important for our survival. And so we're very happy to always see persons outside of this sector gaining a lot of interest and, adopting a lot of the various practices that are sustainable within the sector, doing a small enterprise as a side business to generate some additional income, which in terms of health is also very important. So we're building a community. We want to collaborate on things that are relevant and important for the region so we can move forward. While there are conflicts all over the world, we still need to stand strong together and move forward together. And also very important, we don't want to just talk about it, but we want to come there on the ground, be there, meet with you, even if it's not us directly, but, other experts, other partners, meet with you and translate those, do the hands-on training on the ground, on the field. And so that's why we also have the CCRAF on the road, where we've come into the countries and actionate a lot of these items. And so, as I said, we do have a lot of the platforms. So we have worked hard over the years to ensure that the material is available to you. We have a website. Please visit our website, follow our social media pages, and you will get the continuous updates and access to the recordings and other material. So, to the meat of today, again, thank you everyone, and thank you so much, Pauline, for facilitating that session today. So we will be heading into a nice discussion on starting a small mushroom enterprise. And with everything, there is always a little story behind it, a little encouragement, sometimes discouragement, but there is always that story that inspires other persons to want to do more, a little something else. So with that, I would like to say welcome, Pauline, and I'm going to pass over to Pauline while you share your screen as we head into the presentation. But while Pauline is doing that, of course, we like to get a little idea of your background knowledge on the topic at hand. So I'm going to share a poll on your screen. I know some people tend to have difficulties with it. Please open your screen now. And once it opens on your screen, do not close it. If you close it, it will not be accessible to you anymore. So I'm going to send the baseline poll. It's a simple 3 questions. So you could just answer that for us, please. And then at the end, we'll send out the feedback poll. So over to you, Pauline. You can go ahead and share your screen. So Pauline will give you a little background of herself, and then she will head into the meat of things as to the operations, the setup of the mushrooms, some of the challenges, some of the good things, how to address them. Okay, so you good to go, Pauline?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Ah, lovely. In Jamaica, they call me the mushroom lady because starting in 2012, I started running around the island and talking about mushroom cultivation, which was very new to a lot of people when I started talking about it. At first, I was told that Jamaicans would not eat mushrooms, and to my delight, everybody who said that was wrong because we have been delivering mushrooms since 2014, and every single week we fall short on how much mushroom we have compared to what the orders are. I am going to do this presentation just a little bit different from the other webinars I've watched by first covering the PowerPoint so we all have a base of which we have a shared understanding so we know what questions to ask and we can communicate just a little bit better. I am going to talk about tropical mushroom production. I know a lot of people spend time on at the University of YouTube and they see videos and snippets about mushroom cultivation. And then I will get calls and I have to disappoint them that growing mushrooms in the tropics is very, very different from growing mushroom in cold weather. So this is not a very, very long PowerPoint presentation, but it will give us a basis from which we can have a better conversation. The building that you're looking at in the on the slide is a picture of the Jamaica Exotic Mushroom facility. This is a relatively new facility, and it is the largest purpose-built mushroom production facility in the Caribbean. We haven't found another one like it. There is a lot of advantages to growing mushrooms in a place like Jamaica or across the Caribbean and Latin America. You can grow year round. We have consistent temperature of between 24 and 30 Celsius. We have an abundance of waste that we can use for growing mushrooms. In some islands, you grow rice, and so you have rice hull, you have cotton hull, we have waste from the sugar industry, but more importantly, is that there is a high and growing demand for mushrooms across the Caribbean. If we need to remember that islands like Jamaica are one of the top 3 destinations for tourists. And so while there may be 3 million Jamaicans who live here and some may not eat mushrooms, keep in mind that most visitors are coming from mushroom eating countries. But there are some big challenges to growing mushrooms in the tropics. You have to deal with heat. In some parts of Jamaica, while the temperature at night may go down to 12 or 13 in my part of the island in the high mountains, there are parts of Jamaica where the temperatures are just really high. And most mushroom likes to fruit between 15 and 21 Celsius, and most of the time other parts of Jamaica is running between 25 and 30 degrees Celsius. Cooling cost. You have to find a way when it gets too hot to cool the mushrooms down. You also have less strain to choose from. Most of the strains of mushrooms will be strains that are designed to grow in colder temperature. Humidity and moisture control is also another problem when you're growing mushrooms in the tropics. If the humidity goes beyond the 85 to 95-degree, depending on what kind of mushroom you're growing, you run the risk of having a rot. You also have to deal, because of the humidity and moisture, you are more likely to attract infestation from flies who will lay eggs on your mushrooms and destroy them. Pests and pathogens. Contamination is a big thing. We always need to remember that mushroom is an edible fungus, and other competing fungus will enter your grow facility and compete with that. You need to have clean, sterilized spaces, and you have to find a non-chemical way of dealing with flies and mites. The last issue that I would like to talk about with mushroom cultivation in the tropics is what substrate are you going to use? This is a soilless produce. You can't plant in the same spot that you plant last year or the year before or whatever. While it's a quick turnaround crop that within 4 to 5 weeks, you will have gone from the start of producing your mushrooms to harvest and sale of the mushrooms, you have to have an abundant source of substrate. Now, your substrate could be sugarcane bagasse, it could be coffee ground, it could be coconut coir. You could be, in our case, we are working with tall grasses. And the other problem you will have to face and deal with is, can you get spawn that will work in your facility in your part of the country? What we have done in Jamaica is we've gone beyond the sawdust and the koi and the bagasse, and we tapped into the long grasses that are very free in Jamaica. So in Jamaica, we had a problem when we started. We don't grow wheat, so there was no waste from wheat. We don't grow cotton. We don't grow rice, so there was no rice hull. We also in Jamaica don't have a lumber industry. Canada has a lumber industry. America has one. All across Europe, mushroom farmers can reach for hay and sawdust, but we couldn't do any of that in Jamaica. Our solution was to turn to the tall grasses and easy to grow grasses in Jamaica. And we found a way to use bamboo leaf and branches and fever grass or lemongrass to be the foundation of our mushroom industry. The bamboo provides us with the right kind of structure, and it is renewable, and you cut down one bamboo tree today and 6 months from now you have 7 in its place. We also found that lemongrass would grow just about anywhere, and it had some special properties that would help in a lot of different ways with the taste of the mushroom, the control of the pest, and all of those issues. What makes Jamaica mushrooms very unique is that the nutritional value of growing mushroom on lemongrass and bamboo increase the amount of free amino acids that the mushrooms produce. So, and what free amino acid does is that it is a type of protein that is easily accessible for the body. So instead of just having meats, here is a way of having a form of protein that is easily absorbable. We've found out that mushrooms grown in Jamaica have a different flavor profile, and the chefs are a little bit, we're more than happy with that. The bamboo creates a mushroom that grows really fast and gives you a higher yield. It cuts down the amount of time you're waiting for the mushroom to be ready. We can produce a mushroom from start to finish in about 4 weeks. It's cost efficient, and Jamaica has no shortage of bamboo. So we grow a lot of different kinds of mushroom. Why did we pick oyster mushroom? Oyster mushroom uses fresh substrate. We didn't have to get caught up in composting substrate. It is a fastest growing mushroom of the types you can grow. You get a high yield. We sell it for at wholesale prices of 2,500 Jamaican dollars per pound. That's running somewhere around 17 US dollars a pound. And we have a waiting list for people who want the mushroom. It is more forgiving than other types of mushrooms like lion's mane. We cannot compete with the United States and other areas in producing common button mushrooms. So we didn't even think about doing it. And we have a diverse market. We have hotels, restaurants, we have small guest houses. We have a lot of returning residents and a lot of rastas and people who are vegan who have just turned to eating mushrooms because of health reasons. I want you to think about the process. There are two very distinct processes in growing mushrooms. We're going to talk about the actual process of making the grow bags. And what you see on the shelf here is a grow bag. First, you have to prepare the substrate. A substrate is a formula. A substrate will have two or more ingredients in it. So there will be supplements that will go along with the bamboo and lemongrass that you have to chop it up and blend it and then hydrate it. After that, you must process it by pasteurization. Now, pasteurization is very different from sterilization. You want to kill off most of your competing molds and fungus and bacteria and wild yeast that may be in the grasses you're using. But you don't want to sterilize it, because if you sterilize the grass, you will eliminate all the food for the mushrooms. Once it's been pasteurized, you will now inoculate it. Inoculation is where you put the culture or the spawn or the seed, for a better word, of the mushroom into the grass. And that's, you have to do that process and then put it in incubation. What we mean by incubation is that the mushroom grow bags will sit in the dark for between 15 and 21 days before it is ready to produce the mushroom. Your final stage is where you take the mushrooms out of the dark and it goes into a room on a shelf like this one, where it then begins to fruit. The local mushroom industry in Jamaica is a success. Whether you're looking at a high-end hotel like Round Hill or a Stush in the Bush, our mushroom shows up across Jamaica. The hospitality industry, if you're going to get into the business, you must first start by having conversations with your hotels, your restaurants, your vegan spots, because an embrace from that sector is vital. Mushroom is produced so quickly. It starts From start to finish, you have 4 weeks. So you must know who you're going to sell your mushrooms to before you start to produce your mushrooms. We've been very lucky. We've been embraced by the Chefs Association, the Food Awards, and all of that. We have folks flying in from Hollywood to or Barbados, our Prime Minister, coming in just to have mushroom. This may look like fried chicken, but what this is mushroom, a vegan version of fried chicken, which is vegan mushrooms fried to taste just like anything you want it to taste like. The hurricanes that we have experienced since 24 to 25 has proven that mushroom cultivation is a more resilient form of farming than a lot of other farm in our area. The traditional farmers lost their bananas, lost their yams, and was completely destroyed in my area by Melissa. We, as a mushroom organization, was back to production 2 days after the storm because our shelter is a lot more substantial than a greenhouse. This is an important fact because between 2024 and 2025, my area was hit by 9 major storms. We also had 7 earthquakes. And the farmers, except for the pineapple farmer who suffered some damage, but not as bad as the yam and banana farmers, we were the first to come back. Women, youth, seniors, mushroom cultivation is an ideal form of agriculture for you to tap into. It doesn't require a lot of physical strength. It doesn't take all days to do the things that you have to do. An hour or two checking in on your mushroom crops per day is mostly all you need to keep things going. You're taking waste, whether a waste crop like bamboo and fever grass or rice hull or some other form of agricultural waste, and you can turn it into a high value produce that you have a waiting list for. Something that was important to me when I was looking at working with women and youth in my area to encourage them to participate in the sector was how much money could they make. So we looked at to really start a very good small scale mushroom operation. You need to be thinking of eventually investing around 400,000 Jamaican dollar or about $2,575 US one time. That made a lot of sense for us when we ran the number. If instead of growing mushrooms, you got minimum wage in Jamaica, working on farms or working in homes or in other situations, the minimum wage per month is $78,000. At a Chinese supermarket, you'll make $120,000 to $180,000 per month. Mushroom production, if you can put in 100 bags, your income for that same period will be $750,000 per month. If you continue to expand your grow bags every week by 25, your monthly should get to $1.4 million. So the numbers don't lie. Why do I believe that I am so confident that mushroom cultivation is a great sector and something good to pursue. We looked at the key lessons that we could learn from the Philippines. In the Philippines, they had a community level micro enterprise training and support that started their mushroom industry, an industry that has grown and is mostly built around women, that is now worth 1.43 billion American dollars. Thailand had a start when they had a Mushroom for Life project in 1988. Their sector is now worth 550 million US dollars. And India is the one I'm most impressed with. They had a watershed project, and that project started 14 women project around the island, and they increased their production very quickly in the year 2000 from 150 kg to 300 kg a week in 2002. That sector in India is now worth 1.61 billion US dollars. An industry is not established until you have enough people playing in it that we could produce aftermarket products like pickled mushrooms or mushroom chips or mushroom cookies or other kind of the products that you can grow with the extra mushroom. Jamaica is nowhere near that. The Caribbean is don't produce enough mushrooms to consume fresh. Moreover, to produce enough mushrooms that we can start developing different products out of it. Something that is really exciting, and my last slide, for the Jamaican mushroom industry is that Compete Caribbean has agreed to invest in the development of the mushroom sector, starting with Jamaica, but they are interested in creating a pilot that could go across the Caribbean and Latin America. Investing in the mushroom industry is a triple win proposition because mushroom growing is climate smart, is inclusive, and it is market ready. The model is resilient and circular, and it's just a great model that can be replicated. We have shown that mushroom cultivation is resilient, and it positions Jamaica at the moment as the leader in this high value edible mushroom, in both edible and medicinal mushroom. So that is our presentation. And I've brought along props. So you can ask me any questions, anything you did not understand, and we'll be in a position to answer and demonstrate. What I'm holding in my hand is what happens to the bamboo leaf and the lemongrass when you process it. Any questions?
Yes. So thank you, Pauline. We do have a lot of questions coming in already. Of course, simple going through that step to step, and I'm sure a lot of persons, may want a little more detail that are more specific to their countries or even the ideas that they may have in their head. So first, let me say thank you to you, Pauline, for that presentation, going through the step to step process. And so I see we have some hands up. And so persons, please feel free to put some of your questions in the chat, but we encourage you to raise your hand so we can, better respond to your questions, and, we can engage more directly with the presenter. They have facilitated all these sessions, share all the expertise for free. And so that is your opportunity to ask as much questions and get as much clarification as you like, of course, everything in a respectful manner. So with that, I will start taking the questions. So we'll do a mix between the raised hands and the questions from the chat. So I will call on your name and then unmute you. So Lisa, I'm going to unmute you. So you could go ahead and select unmute and ask your question. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, are you hearing me?
Clearly,
Uh-huh.
yes. Go ahead.
Okay, lovely. So, my name is Lisa Charles. I'm from St. Vincent. So, I did do some experimentation with mushroom cultivation in the past. But basically, what happened is I was using vermiculite and other like store-bought materials as my substrate, and I like that you're using more readily available materials because obviously, when you buy in substrate, it's gonna become very expensive over time. But my real question is gonna be about your liquid cultures or your spawn. Like, what are you using to actually inoculate your substrate? Because here we don't really have a lot of mushrooms available. So what I had done is I had just bought some mushroom at the supermarket and scraped the spores and made my own liquid culture just from, watching YouTube videos and stuff. But how are you doing that on a large scale? Are you buying culture or do you have a lab or, what would you recommend for us who are trying to get into it? What's your best practices for your cultures?
Um, I have 3 labs. We are a full-service organization. So we would take a mushroom to making spawn. We would find the perfect mushroom. We would harvest that mushroom. Then we would make a petri dish with the culture from that mushrooms. Or if it's a new strain that we would like to train how to grow in the tropics, we would import through our plant quarantine area. We would import a syringe of culture. That is the safest way to bring that in. Then we would make a petri dish. From the petri dish, we would make a mother spawn. And can I get a bag of spawn? And from this, we would extend it maybe into 10 or so big bags of spawn. So we are lucky in that we have the facility and we have a mycologist who could do that. So people in Jamaica can buy the spawn that they want. But if you're going to make your own culture and your own spawn, you need to have the right. So you take this and you extend it to make a 3-pound or a 5-pound bag of spawn. I said in the presentation that you were working with 2 very distinct processes. Making spawn is an entirely different process than making a grow bag. So your grow bag is going to look like something like this. But before you can get to this stage, you have about 2 weeks worth of work to go from culture, petri dish, to spawn in order to be ready to inoculate your substrate. I think mushroom cultivation is 1/3 science, 1/3 manufacturing, and 1/3 agriculture. What is lovely about it is you can choose which third you're going to be in. We are lucky that we have the technology and the know-how to do all the different stages. But in a lot of places, you will have one person who only makes spawn or one person who produces just substrate, and then you have one person who grows it out. A lot of mushroom cultivation in Canada, where I'm from, is very specialized. The person who makes spawn usually doesn't grow mushrooms, and the person who grows out the mushroom doesn't produce the substrate. But because you're working in Jamaica or in the Caribbean and you're doing it as a smaller scale, you may have to learn how to do all the different parts. And you're lucky enough now that there are places and people that you can tap into to teach you how to do this, even if you just join an online class.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Lisa, for the question. Pauline would have touched on a number of different areas in terms of that question. So what I will do, I will take a question in the chat and then I will get back to you, Jonathan. Okay, so you mentioned using the bamboo lemongrass chop. In terms of the preparation of that, the person wants to know, do you use a chipper or is something you do by hand?
Oh, we have a modified wood chipper mill because we all know what bamboo looks like, but you don't want your bamboo to be, in order to fill a grow bag, it has to be pliable. So it needs not just to be chopped, but it has to be crushed. So we have a modified machine that does all of that. Like you push the big bunch of bamboo and the lemongrass in, and it comes out as that mulch.
Okay, excellent. So
But
yes, go
I
ahead.
have been in the old days with USAID. They have come to Jamaica and demonstrated the Peace Corps and USAID projects, farmer to farmer, have demonstrated that you can also use banana leaves, dry banana leaves, and any form of grass that you have a lot of in your area. And you can use a sharp machete and chop it all together, then soak it in water. I've also seen them add cardboard to the mulch and then hydrate all of it and grow mushrooms. Mushrooms will grow on a lot of stuff. Cardboard is made out of hardwood pulp, so mushroom will grow on it. It won't taste the same as if you have a really good substrate formula. So what kind of waste do you have? And how do you, when you're making mushrooms, you also have to commit to eating some of that mushrooms. So you have to grow the mushroom on what you have available. Then you need to sit down with some garlic and a little bit of coconut oil and then go, would I pay 17 US dollars a pound for this? So you need to taste it, you need to eat it. And over the years, I don't know how many pounds of mushrooms I've eaten. And in the process, I've learned that if you don't give enough light to the mushrooms, it has a bitter aftertaste. So it may look really good, and then you take it to the chef, and he's got Ralph Lauren or Mia Motley or somebody flying in to eat mushroom, and then it just doesn't taste so good. So as the producer, you can't think of mushrooms like you would banana or yam, and you just make it and sell it and walk off. No, you need to taste it, you need to cook it, you need to work with your chefs to get that special vibe out of it.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you, Nikelia, and thank you very much, Pauline, for sharing all this super beautiful knowledge with us. I'm very, very new to this, but I'm interested in me being in Haiti, I'm interested on finding how to create value with what we have. So I've been looking at mushrooms, but very timidly, but it's something that's on the list of stuff that I'm looking to get into. Um, it seems very approachable, but I'm just wondering, you talked about the sanitation process and keeping it clean so that other funguses don't come compete with the mushroom. How does that process look like? Is it is it
Well,
challenging?
no, you just can't let your ego get in the way of being a mushroom farmer. 'Cause you start by understanding you're growing a fungus. You're growing an edible fungus.
Mm-hmm.
So when people talk to me, I tell them that my two job is to grow grass
Mm-hmm.
and to be a cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be conscious. You cannot let, when you start your mushroom operation, you can't let just anybody come into your fruiting house because you don't know where they're coming from. They may have touched a fence post and picked up green mold, or they may have had some old bread in their house and they have the black mold on their clothes or themselves. So you just have to become very vigilant. Um, but the rest of it is pretty straightforward. It may not be easy, but it's simple. For instance, you wash things with bleach and you
Mm-hmm.
spray countertops down with um, alcohol.
Okay.
So as long as you're committed to make sure that you clean all the instrument, you clean the space. And for instance, we just had an infestation of mushroom flies, which is the most fascinating thing to me because these are flies you've never ever seen before in your life. And then all of a sudden, these flies must be totally like rural Jamaican because somebody called them and say, "Hey, chick over there is me growing mushroom." So they packed up their cousins and everybody and they moved into my mushroom house. And they are destructive on the mushroom. They fly about, they change the color, you can't sell it when they do it. But we can't use any chemical.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to go back to basic and realize clean the room out with bleach and vinegar, make sure that we started using neem oil and dish soap with water to spray down the walls. They don't like the way neem smells. I'm not sure I like it either.
So the question I was asking is because I know that when other in the food industry they use a lot of stainless steel surfaces and stuff like that. So that's why I was thinking in terms of investment, can do you work with wood tables or like to keep it sanitized?
When you're starting out, you have to upcycle what you have. At
Okay.
my level, yes, I have a lot of stainless steel. All the different areas you go, you'll see stainless steel tables for packing mushroom, stainless steel tables in your clean room for making grow bags, stainless steel tables in my labs. Great. But when you're starting out, you may just have to get a wooden table and put two coats of oil paint on it
Got
and
it.
then lay down some plastic over top of that.
Got
And
it.
before you start working, you spray down the plastic with a mixture of vinegar and I wouldn't use bleach if I'm going to do anything like that on a plastic, but spray it down with some vinegar, get some neem oil, that sort of stuff. Um, and try, if you can grow lemongrass in your area, I think growing lemongrass is just like the
We
secret
can.
sauce.
Yeah. We
It
can.
makes the mushroom taste different.
Mhm.
Lemongrass included in it gives it a different vibe. A lot of insects don't like the way lemongrass smell, but the mushroom just loves and thrives on it. So I'd give it a shot. In Haiti, I'd give it a shot. And
Okay.
if there is a way to send some spawn or something to help you start up, let me know.
Thank you
Okay,
very, very
excellent.
much.
So thank you, Jonathan, for that. Of course, we do have a number of persons from Haiti participating, and it's lovely to have them on. And of course, we will have the contacts. You could just send me an email, Jonathan, and we could make those connections and anybody else where needed. So we will take Natasha before we take any of the other questions in the chat. Go ahead, Natasha.
Hi, everyone. Miss
Hello.
Pauline, thank you so much. I'm so
Are you?
excited after listening. I actually cultivated, not, I didn't cultivate the mushrooms, but I managed to get some spawn in a jar from a mushroom. I took out the center of it and I got it to um cover some corn grains. Only problem is I used the wrong type of mushroom. It was my first try. So two questions. You mentioned the corn, grasses, and that it doesn't need the substrate doesn't need to be fermented, right? And it doesn't need to be composted. I can use it fresh, but hydrated. So
All right. You're asking two questions.
I am
Okay.
asking if I have corn stalks, which is what I started with, do I
Okay.
need to ferment it or just mulch it down, or what do I need to do with it?
What else are you putting with your corn stock, with the corn stock?
Um, what else was with the corn stalk? Banana stem, a small amount of wood shavings.
What kind of wood?
Um, it was a non-resinous wood. I think it was cedar
That's your problem.
or not cedar. I had two, I
If
had two, I had two sets of wood and one was cedar, but I don't think I used that. It's a while back now.
Okay, well, let's start with unless you're growing certain types of medicinal mushrooms, put in Caribbean pine, cedar, or any of those fragrant softwood in your substrate is going to do the opposite of what you want. It is going to kill the mycelium.
Those are resinous, right?
Yeah. Those it's gonna attack. Those are antifungal properties in cedar, Caribbean pine, and all of that. So just because YouTube says sawdust or wood chips, in the Caribbean, what we grow a lot of is softwood. It's not hardwood. In North America, it would be oak and it would be maple, and those are sweet hardwood. So they can grow mushroom on. You can't add any wood chip or that unless you know for sure it is a sweet wood, like a mango tree. If a mango tree got chopped down and somebody chipped it, you would grow some lovely mushrooms, edible mushrooms on that.
Got
But
plenty of that.
yeah, yeah. So, which country are you calling? Which
Grenada.
Grenada? Okay, you're supposed to have some good wood, some nutmeg and them stuff. You
I
can
got them
chip.
in the garden.
Yeah, you can chip wood. You can chip wood and use it. Um, when I say we grow mushroom on bamboo and lemongrass, that is only half of the story. You also need to add some supplements to it. Remember, in the soil, there is lots of different elements in the soil. So you're trying to create a meal for the mushrooms because literally the mushroom is going to eat, just like how you tie out a goat and every day you tie the goat out and the goat eats some grass and keep getting bigger and bigger. And eventually, if you leave the goat in the same spot, there will be no grass. That's exactly what happens to mushrooms. When you put it in the grow bag, the mycelium or mushroom will eat everything in the grow bag. And eventually, you may start with 8 pounds in the grow bag, and you will end up with a grow bag of waste that is only 1 pound. So it's literally going to consume that. So you have to think, what is going to make my mushroom happy? So if you're going to go with cornstalk, what else are you going to give it? I wouldn't want to grow if you just gave me some cornstalk and then you gave me some poison wood and all of that. So you may want to consider um, adding some banana rushes to that, and then finding a way to get some gypsum, because those two are not going to have enough nutrients to give to the mushrooms, so it'll be good for you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you
So
so much. Go ahead.
a good substrate will always have 3 or more ingredients. So lots of bamboo, lots of lemongrass, some calcium, some form of calcium, whether chalk or whatever, but not vermiculite. Mushroom grown on vermiculite, unless it is psilocybin, which you just want it to be potent so you can get high. It doesn't make good eating mushrooms.
Okay,
Okay, so
great. So
just can you just clarify for me? Sorry, Natalia. Can
go
you just
ahead.
clarify for me? Do I need to ferment it? Or if I just chop it, hydrate it,
Oyster, what are you going to grow? Are you going to
pink o-
try?
pink oyster, blue oyster, yeah.
Pink Oyster is one of the easiest girls. She is flamboyant and she grows very easily. No, oyster mushrooms are first stage decomposers. They can eat, they are the first type of fungus that attacks organic matter. Therefore, it doesn't need to be fermented. They become part of the fermentation. Button mushroom, portabella, any of those type of mushroom, they need compost. So if you start composting your stuff, that will even give them a more of an upset stomach. It's like leaving chicken out and eating it.
Okay, so just hydrate it. Chop it up small and hydrate it.
And add water, and then figure out, are you going to steam it or boil it in order to pasteurize it. And
That's awesome.
you can send me an email. If you search on Google mushrooms and Jamaica, somebody will come up with my contact information on Google. So just send your questions to me if you need to.
I'll
Okay.
definitely get in touch. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Natasha. I hope the information will be useful continuing forward. Of course, there will be those contact for any further support, any more in-depth detail from Pauline. We will take Rachel. Rachel will take you now. But while we going ahead with Rachel, I'm going to launch the feedback poll, as I know some persons may have to leave. So just check your screen. Don't seem to be working for everyone. Apologies. I don't quite have control of how to manage it in Zoom. So going forward, we'll look for different alternatives in terms of the baseline and feedback poll. So it should be popping up on your screen now. And so with that, Rachel, you could go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Pauline, Miss Smith. My name is Rachel. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can
Yeah.
hear you.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Rachel. I'm from the plant pathology lab at the UWI St. Augustine. We have actually grown mushrooms here. So I have a few questions here, right? Two questions, right? My first question is, how do you sterilize your mushroom? Well, you said you pasteurize. How do you pasteurize your mushroom? Do you use cold pasteurization or do you steam pasteurize? How do you pasteurize?
Wait, am I pasteurizing grains to
The
uh,
substrate.
make, or do you want to know how I pasteurize substrate?
Substrate.
Okay, I use a hot pasteurization. I have to do that because I'm working with bamboo leaf that comes with a lacquer on it that has to be broken down. And the lemongrass has citronella, and I need to leach some of that citronella out because it is antifungal, and that will work against my spawn when I put it in. So I go with a hot steam pasteurization.
Okay. So I have a follow-up question for that. Did you build your sterilizer or did you purchase it like commercial?
We have a triple engineer on our team, and he is brilliant at upcycling. So he has used locally available material to make a specialized steam um, process for us.
All right. And my next question. So you fruit in rooms. Do you like how do you so your fruit and bags are open, so the rooms are open, or like do you how do you maintain or how do you reduce contamination in your fruiting chambers?
We have our building in total has upstairs would be 12 fruiting rooms that are 20 by 16. And some of the fruiting rooms are not actually fruiting rooms, they're incubation chambers, but
Right.
we have heavy doors on them, and we try not to go from one room to the other in the same kind of shoes, and we use a lot of gloves. We also don't allow people to walk off the street and walk through our facility.
Okay. All right. So I think that's all my questions for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel.
Okay, thank you so much, Rachel, for the question. Well, Craig, you would have asked some of the question on the startup cost. So before I go into it, I'll allow you to
The
speak into
startup cost, the startup cost.
I'll let Craig ask the question first, and
Okay.
then we'll go into that. Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, hey guys, nice to see everybody again. Pauline, excellent. You have me so excited again, and that's not something easy to do, but congratulations. Awesome presentation. I just wanted to share a couple aha moments I had, and hopefully other people had as well. But like many of us probably in the core, we're looking to develop exotic brands that really educate other parts of the world on the value of our products. And I really speak for the honey industry. And we have a superior award-winning product coming out of the Caribbean. And I'm encouraged by your comments to really create luxury brands in some of the establishments that you've established channels with. And I congratulate you for that. And hopefully we can continue to communicate and synergize. But my bigger question is really the startup costs. I know that's kind of a complicated question, but to keep it simple, like what is kind of like a critical path? Because we're looking at primarily at significant, we have potential orders that are really scaled in terms of queen rearing and honey production based on our infrastructure rollout. And although we do have corporate investors that are willing to partner, we're basically there's a bit of a gap in terms of the amount of capital we need to secure infrastructure, basically beehives. We call it woodenware, our basic infrastructure to produce honey-related products. My question is, what would you recommend? Clearly, we're submitting a number of proposals from ICA and other players in the region. But other than possibly that channel, what are some potential tips or tricks that you've gone through that help you raise capital to get your enterprise up to the level it's operating today? Thank you.
Ooh, that's a big one. You should buy me a glass of wine before you ask that one.
Well,
Uh,
I was actually thinking dinner, Pauline.
well, I started when we started in 2010, 2012. It, it was all about talking to government agencies and NGOs and that kind of stuff. And something funny would often happen in that the people we were presented to, instead of telling us how to access the funds, whether development bank or whatever, the individuals in the room would meet us on the way out and ask how they could get into the business. So
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
was a lot of help. So I finally got mad and decided to start with my own funds.
Yeah.
And in 2020, just at the start of COVID, I decided to tap into private investors in Canada because I needed real money we needed to build a 33,000 square foot facility and demonstrate what we were talking about. But since then, I've found that partnerships, for instance, there is a way to take honey and mushrooms, a certain type of oyster mushrooms, and make it sweet. That way you could make a product, a cookie, which is pretty popular, a mushroom cookie, a honey mushroom cookie that we used whenever we did demonstrations. So I started partnering and doing those kind of things, participating in food awards. And we got very famous when the top chefs in Jamaica started producing vegan versions of popular things. So it's and Compete Caribbean is another one that I think there's a request for proposal going out, and Jamaica is not participating, but Eastern Caribbean and other countries can participate right now. I think Compete Caribbean and that kind of project is an amazing way to get a really good sum of money that can prepare you for private investors. It's one of the few places that you can get money that is encouraging you to do business and is not asking you to twist yourself into a pretzel to fit into NGO model. And which country are you in?
Grenada, Grenada and St.
Grenada?
Lucia. And
There
St.
has
Lucia.
to be an ICA office because
There is,
we
yes.
have also been blessed in that in Jamaica, we had the most amazing, amazing nation director for ICA office, Dr. Elizabeth Johnson, who would work with honey, work with mango, work with mushroom to help us prepare ourselves for the next step. So I would run to the ICA office and say, how can we work with you to get ready, to get investor ready? Because
Yeah,
that,
just to that point, Pauline, too, we have a great relationship with St. Lucia. It's a long-standing and very viable relationship. We're building those new relationships in Grenada because there's been a little bit of a gap in terms of the commercialization of beekeeping in Grenada, whereas in St. Lucia, it's much more advanced, and we've got a very core group of enable people that are really trained. But we kind of have a bottleneck in our pipeline because we're to the point now where, again, we have developing relationships. We partner with a couple of major universities that are opening up sales channels because we have had award-winning, recognized honey products in the Caribbean. People are excited to get their hands on it, and we're just typically working with the traditional, assumptions that people have over dealing, with Caribbean companies and getting consistent quality supply, et cetera. That I think we can certainly manage.
Yes,
I would recommend you look into that Compete Caribbean proposal right now that is looking to help you develop value chain. They
Okay.
they've been amazing for because they give you the support you need to develop your value chain cluster. I would say check Compete Caribbean and your ICA office. They will help you get a proposal together.
Awesome.
Yep.
We'll definitely be in
Excellent.
touch, Pauline. I thank you again, and we'll be following up with you as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lovely. So for those asking about Compete Caribbean, you could check their website and they do have a lot of the details on there. Sometimes they do have sessions, information sessions that person could join. So just check the email, their website, to get a bit more detail on what are the different funding they provide and whenever the proposal phase is open. So we have Thea Morgan. Let me just unmute you. Go ahead, Thea. Are you there with us?
Yes, hi, my name is still Morgan. I'm from St. Lucia. I just had a question in regarding what I can use other than bamboo husk and what's it again?
What waste do you have in your country?
Coconut husks. We have an abundance
Coconut
of
husk,
coconut husk.
yes. And what else? Because you need a formula. So coconut husk. What else do
Bamboo
you have?
and
You have
lemon.
bamboo? What else do you have?
Lemongrass.
Then you have everything, man.
Okay.
You
Okay,
just
thank you
you
so
just you just need to find a way to smash that all together. Get some gypsum or chalk because you're gonna need a calcium supplement that will help it grow fast. But you have, as long as it's free and abundant and cheap, you got what you need to start.
Okay, so for
Excellent.
calcium, I can use rooting powder.
What kind of powder? No, sir.
Okay.
No, not no
So,
calcium. You need gypsum or you need chalk.
okay.
All
Yeah.
right? Because you need a lot of it. You're not talking about a teaspoon. Depending on how much, say, if you have 40 pounds of grass material, you're gonna need to use 2 cups of calcium. So
Oh,
you need to
okay.
have a good source of calcium. You can buy gypsum through Amazon or online, or there has to be a quarry in your area that you may be able to get some from.
Okay, thank you so much for answering my question.
Or
Okay, so if you have any other questions, Morgan, of course, please feel free to reach out to our CCRAF email and we can always help make the connection. I see we have, so I'm taking the hands because some of the names are the same persons who put the questions in the chat.
okay.
So Anna, please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm listening to your session while driving. I'm in St. Lucia, so I have a
Okay.
hands-free on, and I don't think we need to see the inside of my car. So I
No
apologize
problem.
about
Go
the
ahead.
image. I'm transitioning from homestead to micro farm and was wondering, would you have an idea? I have a 20-foot container that was my office, and I'm converting it to store my future fruits, my eggs, and so on. Is there a possibility to just grow like 4 or 5 trays for own consumption? What do you
It,
think?
it, it's always a good thing to start growing for your own consumption so you know what it is you're selling later. That's how we all start. And
Okay.
I started in a 40-foot shipping container. So
Mhm.
shipping containers is a great way because it's sturdy, and if it's anchored all right, then it will outlast the storm. Yes, you can, but you said grow in a tray. Oyster
What I'm
mushroom.
saying is that area will be also, we're going to 2,000 eggs a month instead of, 60. We're growing 60 to 80 plants of peppers, tomatoes, and so on. So my personal office that was in a 20-foot container, we're changing it into storage, put our seeds in a fridge there, have a sink to wash our hands and stuff. Would it be something that you wouldn't do, like put 5 or 6 trays in there and grow in that environment? Are you saying the mold might spread to other things for me, or just trying to
No, it's
see? Because I
it's
know it would have
it's
AC in it, so I can keep the temperature lower, and it's
if you're
insulated, the
just
container.
if you're just growing enough for your self, then that will be perfectly fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Uh,
Anna, and keep safe on
Nikisha,
the road. Yes.
Yes, I am. And I just want to say wonderful session, guys. It's wonderful. I'm part of Helen's Daughters in St. Lucia.
Ah, lovely.
And yes, it's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank
you
you,
were
Anna. Yes, go
uh,
ahead, Pauline.
Nikisha Alexander is been asking a important question.
Okay, Nikisha.
She's asking about suppliers. Where
Yes,
is
so I will take some of the question in the chat. So we have some question. We have quite a number of person in terms of asking how can they get the supplies? Are they local suppliers? How do you go about importing? Of course, I saw some persons from Grenada, some from St. Vincent, some in Jamaica asking, do you supply it? And of course, if you because you do import some, what is the process? I guess in most countries, they would need to go to the quarantine unit to get that more specific information for the country. But at least from your end, how do you get your stock, and for persons, or even do you yourself ship to the region?
Well, in Jamaica, it's a no-brainer. There is like dozens of couriers who stop by the farm and pick up whether it's grow bags or spawn or fresh mushrooms. So Jamaicans we already have a distribution network. Um, if they're, it depends on what they want. If you're not in Jamaica, how big of an operation do you want to start? Do you just need spawn? Spawn is very resilient and it can be shipped via Inter-Caribbean Airlines or Tara or FedEx. You can get packages from Jamaica or you can get it through Amazon. So it's possible to bring in spawn. What we do is we make our spawn bags. I'm looking at the question from Nikisha. We use a local manufacturer to make the actual bags. These, ooh, can I have that? The bags. The plastic tubing, we make that in Jamaica, which is different from the spawn. These bags that hold the spawn, it is specially made and it has a breathing cap. So these bags we import these bags directly from the United States, and for larger numbers, we get them from China. You have to be really creative because you're at the start of a new industry. So you have to upcycle and look at things and say, oh, that may work, and try it. She also asked the $2,575, what does it cover? It would cover a building, a fruiting house that is made out of concrete board. You can't use plywood to make a mushroom house because plywood is made out of hardwood. And if your mushroom sends off enough spores, one day it may just migrate from the grow bags to the walls of your mushroom house and decide to start eating the plywood that your house is made out of. So you want to make it out of concrete board. And then it's easy for you to wash it down, bleach it, and do all of that. So it would cover shelving, a structure. It would cover your startup grow bags, that you'd have 100 grow bags to start, that you would collect 25 grow bags a week. And the reason why you would do that is you don't want to have 100 grow bags and nobody to sell it to. So while you're making your grow house, you would get on the delivery list for a hotel or get your customers lined up so they know, hey, in 3 weeks, I'll have my first harvest of mushrooms. And you have to put new grow bags in for a period of 6 weeks in order to actually be fully in business. Because once you get your grow bags, within 3 to 5 days, you will be ready to harvest the mushrooms.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for those questions. Of course, she's providing your basic costing for Jamaica. That would vary with country. So it would be getting an idea of the cost of those building materials in your country and the access to some of those materials needed for the inside setup of the mushroom. So again, this is just a general idea of a startup course more specific to Jamaica. And so, of course, we can provide additional details. Please send us the email so we can provide the details to you. We have a lot of questions, Pauline, surrounding training. Do you provide training? Do you travel in other countries to provide training? I think there was somebody in Grenada or St. Lucia asking if you provide in training, or do you provide at least online trainings that is possible beyond this session?
There's no way I can taste Greg's honey unless I go to Grenada. So, Greg, you owe me dinner, so I'm coming to Grenada. Yes, we do both. You can have a 6-week training course where we offer training here. As a big part of our operation, we actually have training rooms. We do everything from how to grow mushrooms to how to cook mushrooms. So yes, we do both online and we will show up in person.
Okay, excellent. So there is a possibility for Pauline and her team to provide more in-depth specialized training as it relates to mushroom production. So of course, if a group of you here are interested in, doing a training, then probably that is something that could be organized through Pauline and her team with some support in terms of the coordination and everything with ICA and the CCRAF. So going forward, that is something we could look into. You all could reach out to Pauline and see how she and her team can organize a more in-depth, focalized training for you in terms of mushroom production. So other things persons are interested in, of course, we walk out there, we see little mushrooms here and there. So some persons want to know, how do you identify whether it's poisonous or not? How do you make that differentiation?
I like oyster mushrooms for a simple reason. It's easy to tell an oyster mushroom. The shape of the mushroom is shaped like an oyster. But a rule for me is if it is growing in the tree and it is growing on a sweetwood. Now, sweetwood could be an ackee tree, an avocado tree, pear tree, some kind of sweetwood. It is likely going to be a member of the oyster family. May look a different color than this, but it's going to be shaped like that. So if it's high above, you can try it. If it's growing in the dirt or growing on the ground, I would stay away from it. Most poisonous mushrooms are coming out of composted material. And so the mushroom eats what it is growing in. If it's just on the top of a tree or it's on a sweet wood that's breaking down, then it's eating that sweet wood. If it's coming out of some not nice things on the ground, I would stay away from it. It's just that's just my recommendation. Don't go picking up things on the ground and putting it in your mouth like your grandmother said. But if it's on a tree and it looks like a pretty flower, chances are it is an edible and non-poisonous mushroom.
Okay, thank you so much, Pauline. For persons in St. Lucia who are interested in terms of getting some spawns, or I know, well, our office in ICA, we have Brent Yofi, who works very closely with some of the mushrooms persons. And so you could reach out to the ICA office in St. Lucia and they could provide you better guidance, on the ground guidance, as to accessing some of those material and even possible training in St. Lucia itself. Of course, we do have ICA offices in most of the countries, all the way Belize, Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad, and Tobago. We also have offices Grenada, St. Vincent, Barbados, the Bahamas, St. Kitts, Dominica, St. Lucia, also Antigua and Barbuda. We have an ICA office in Haiti as well. In case we have persons from Dominican Republic, we do have an office there. We have an office in Jamaica. So we do have a lot of offices across the region. And you can also reach out directly to us in the CCRAF, and we can make that connection for you, as we would not know a lot of the details, more on the ground details as it relates to that. Okay? So for St. Lucia, you can please reach out to the ICA office there.
There is one mushroom producer that is has been able to stick at it in St. Lucia. A little part of the problem, and I had it too when I just started, is you work so hard to establish a company and you have your customers. So until you get to a decent size, it's kind of hard to share your knowledge, or you feel that is a way to protect your business. So there is you can send your questions to me, and if it's possible to send you either information electronically or to send you some spawn or something to start you off via a courier. I'll do what I can. We have such high demand in Jamaica that I don't really have the same problem worried about sharing information or sharing know-how, because we need more people in the industry. I'm not worried about competition. So if you hit a roadblock, just let me know and we'll figure out a way to get you started.
Thanks for that, Pauline. Of course, Pauline is open to providing support where possible. We will take Judy. I saw it had somebody else hands up. So if you still want to ask, you come ahead. So go ahead, Judy.
Where is Judy?
She's
still on mute.
Judy, allowing you to unmute yourself. Please check your screen. If not, while we wait for Judy, we'll go ahead with you, Venus. Are you getting the notification to unmute yourself, Venus?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I could hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, in the initial setup, she said you can use materials that's available on island. So say I use the lemongrass and the bamboo. You said you have to boil it to sterilize it. Do you put it to dry afterwards, or do you bag it soon after it's boiled into the grow bags?
Nope. You don't dry nothing. Remember, oyster mushroom has 3 requirements. 3. It needs light to fruit, it needs moisture, and it needs oxygen. It is not like button mushrooms or portobello or any of those. It needs light, moisture, and oxygen. It's just like humans. So when your process of pasteurization, I don't want you to sterilize it. The difference between pasteurization and sterilization is that sterilization is a longer process where you keep the heat on at over 200 degrees and you kill every possible thing alive in it. You need to leave food in it. So it's a pasteurization you're doing. And you're doing it to make sure that your substrate is fully hydrated. It's just a fancy way of saying there's enough water in it. So you don't want to dry that water out. And the process of drying it out would mean that you don't have enough for the spawn to grow. Plus, you would like mess it up again because you would have competing fungus and yeast and all of the bacteria flying around the air getting back into your clean substrate. So no, you don't dry it out. You want that moisture in it.
You would drain it and then bag it immediately. But do you put holes in the bag to allow for the oxygen? And on just putting the substrate into it soon after?
Okay, Look at the screen.
Mhm.
Yes, it has to breathe. So in our case, it has two holes that it's breathing through. Give me one that's fruiting. And eventually, see, it's got two holes. Eventually, if you don't cut a hole for it, it starts to grow mushroom out of those holes. When it starts to fruit, you then look along the substrate in the bag and you cut out where there are pins happening. But you don't cut out extra holes along here when you just make the grow bag, because that would invite flies. And if a fly lays on a hole that you've put, then the babies are going to be born and go inside and they will eat the mycelium. Now, the mycelium is just a fancy way of saying they will eat the mushrooms growing. Okay?
Excellent. You had anything else, Dennis, if you want to unmute again? Okay, so we have Judy. Judy, go ahead. Let us see if we could hear you.
Hi, are you hearing me?
Yes, we could
Yes,
hear you now.
Judy.
Go ahead.
Yes, what happened? I'm walking home, so I couldn't see
Okay.
to unmute. Yes.
Okay.
So what I wanted to know, and is there a possibility of like doing medicinal mushrooms like lion's mane or reishi?
Ooh, medicinal mushroom, lion's mane is a food. Reishi is a medicinal mushroom.
Yes.
Yes. You're gonna follow the same process. So a turkey tail or a reishi, or they all need similar substrate.
Okay.
Where we have a hard time with lion's mane is getting a warm weather strain. Lion's mane loves the cold.
Oh,
The
okay.
colder the better. You'll get lion's mane when you're in Canada when there is snow and ice on the ground. Turkey tail, which is an amazing medicinal anti-cancer, grows everywhere in the Caribbean in the wild. And if you want to cultivate it, you can usually find a local version of turkey tail. And you know that it's turkey tail because it has three colors and it looks like a fan. Um,
Yes.
in Jamaica, medicinal also covers psilocybin. Um, and psilocybin uses a slightly different type of substrate, in that psilocybin needs a nitrogen rich environment, and a lot of medicinal also require nitrogen, whereas oyster mushroom is all about the oxygen and doesn't really need. So when I say nitrogen, I mean it doesn't need urea, it doesn't need urine. Like if you're going to grow a lot of different medicinal, you may want to use horse manure, donkey manure to
Mm-hmm.
add to your substrate because you need more natural nitrogen. And the best form of urea is to get it from horse manure or that sort of stuff. You're not going to get it from goat
Okay.
or anything like that. So it's what kind of medicinal you want to grow. And medicinal starts with psilocybin, which people call magic mushrooms, which is
Mm-hmm.
legal in Jamaica, and it goes all the way to reishi. Now, the turnaround for most medicinal can be up to 6 months. So it is not, you want to grow some oyster mushroom along with your medicinal because you're not going to have mushroom to consume or sell. In some cases, it can take up to a year for some
Okay.
medicinal to mature. All right?
Yes.
Okay.
So how can I get this here in Trinidad? Where is the office or site that I can go to?
And just go to your ICA office and tell them you want to grow mushrooms and you want to link with the Jamaica ICA office. You have like the best people in Trinidad who can help you sort that out. So just
Okay.
reach out to ICA, and I know the very least they'll do is they'll hook you up with Dr. Johnson in Barbados. And it's what, a 2 hour flight? So
Okay.
Yep. So
I
for
know we can send you everything you need via Inter-Caribbean Airline because um I just recently took that and I saw a lot of products going on that they dropped off in Barbados and then took it over to Trinidad. So you're close. You can get everything you
right,
need.
right.
Okay. I
You
appreciate
could
that.
Thank you so much, Judy. Important also, you would need to check with your quarantine unit for any processes that need to be sorted out where needed. Of course, through the ECA, we could always provide any guidance where we possibly can. Okay. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Okay. Ford, if you could unmute yourself. Martin, Ford.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you,
Hi.
Mrs. Smith, for your presentation. And my question was around the substrates as well. I
Mhm.
like what you said about the nitrogen rich environment. In Barbados, we have a lot of Miramosi and leguminous plants that that are high in nitrogen or they're nitrogen fixers. So I was wondering if it is that we should include some mix like that along with what the gentleman said before around coconut husk and there's
What
also
what is
something
it you want to grow? Is it oyster mushroom, psilocybin mushroom, medicinal like a reishi or what you want to grow?
right now is just for food production, but
Food.
also was
So
exploring the reishi component.
Rishi like a hardwood. And
Okay.
Rishi's gonna run you a year from the time you start to when it's ready to fruit. If you want to go oyster mushroom, which would be, I think your prime minister was impressed enough with oyster mushroom to announced that she wants to grow mushroom in her new agricultural college. So you're
Right.
probably in a good state for starting. What kind of substrate you have a lot of? Because I didn't.
Uh, the same thing as the other gentleman, coconut. We have a lot of coconut. We have
Yes, you did have a lot of coconut, and I still didn't see
um
the
and
monkeys.
sugar cane, like bagasse type sugar cane.
Can you get the sugar cane because it has leftover sugar? Can you get the a large amount of bagasse?
Yeah, you could buy them by the ton. You could buy it by the ton if if you need it.
Yeah. Well, that could be problematic because it has residual sugar left over from the process.
Right.
So it breaks down a lot faster and it's more likely have carryover contamination. Do you grow any rice or have any
We
long
don't grow
grass?
rice. Well, there's things like I mean, people grow a lot of like cassava and stuff like that, but
Uh, Cassava is not cassava. You could add cassava if you had the cassava waste
mhm.
and the
And
cassava
moringa.
way and the coconut, especially I saw a lot of green like jelly along the side of the road, and the waste from the coconut tree and the
Mhm.
coconut jelly. If you could smash up all of that together, it would
Mhm.
hold the moisture really well, and there
Right.
would be some food in the cassava.
And on the medicinal thing as well, I see a lot of the casuarina trees. I see a reishi looking type mushroom form when they die. And I was just wondering, like,
Yeah.
identifying those, if that is reishi mushroom or
Yeah. Well, next time, take a picture and send it to me.
no
Um,
problem.
yeah, I think you have to be a little bit more creative
Hmm.
than you would need to be because I'm trying to remember when I was in Barbados what I saw. But um, phew, how difficult is it to get machinery?
Uh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So I think you have to do some
You
background,
have some
a bit of
research, but
background
I have your
research. Yes.
contact information. So like if I come across any questions, and I know my colleague Damien from ICA is on here as well. So
Oh, excellent. Yes, you could always reach
I'll
out
run
to
it through
Damien.
you.
Yes, lovely. All right,
But
great.
congrats on your projects and thanks for sharing.
Most
you're
welcome,
welcome.
Martin. Thanks so much. So persons are also asking, Pauline, in terms of after harvest, what is this shelf life like? What is the shelf life of the mushroom?
Oh, my mushroom. I can talk about my mushrooms
Yes.
because I have a really good team, and we are very observant as to what mushrooms does and the type of mushroom and how you store it. But it all comes down to when you pick it, if you allow the mushrooms to stay on the bag until it's past, oh, how do I explain this? Um, this mushroom is just at the right time to be picked because notice that there is still a curl to the petals. If you wait until those petals start turning up, then it will release all the spores. If you look at the back of a mushroom, hold this for me. You look at the back of the mushroom and it has ridges. And if you allow the spores to release the spores, it starts breaking down. So if you don't pick your mushroom early enough, it's not going to last long enough. Then, if you don't store your mushrooms in a paper bag, if you put it in a plastic bag, the mushroom is still alive, and it what it does, it perspires, and the fluid, the liquid, just like mushroom breathes out carbon monoxide. So it then forms a yellow liquid in the plastic bag and falls back on the mushroom and it decomposes. So we store our mushrooms in cardboard boxes and paper bags to allow it to breathe. And we prefer to put it in a cooler that has a fan versus in a fridge where it is in a closed environment without any air circulation. So it really depends. Our mushroom will last for 11 days in a cooler. But if you just take the mushroom, put it in a clamshell, stick it in the fridge, you'll probably get 3 or 4 days out of it. And by the time you eat it, it may not taste as good as if you had it the first day it arrived.
Fresh. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Pauline. So we will take you now, Andrew. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hi, good day.
Hi, Andrew.
I'm from St. Lucia. I'm a young farmer, and I wonder, we had three different sessions, and I'm interested in both all three of them for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking of funding for. I see all the funding and ICA, and that's for groups and corporation. What they have funding to help a young farmer like me to get started in some of the fields like um hydroponics and I guess mushrooms.
Okay, thanks for that question, Andrew. So if most persons are not aware, the general mandate of ICA really is to provide support to the ministries of agriculture and what is of priority to them. So normally we would encourage persons to first go to the Ministry of Agriculture to get an idea of what are the various programs that there, because the ministry themselves in the various countries They do a lot of training. I only realized yesterday that Meatid in Trinidad was actually having a hydroponic hands-on training. So you do have the ministry providing a lot of training in terms of a lot of the in-country initiatives of the offices. I will not necessarily be able to provide you those full details as I do not work specifically for an office. I work for we also have what we call hemispheric programs where we provide support to the countries based on what they reach to us for. And my key focus actually is within the soil water management area. But if you need to know more specifically in terms of on the ground, what the offices are working on and the ministries, you would need to contact your local ICA office. You could also send me an email through the CCRAF and I could make that connection for you. But as it stands, I would not be able to, out of my head, let you know what is yes. So you would need to reach out to the office, also to the Ministry of Agriculture, because most of the work that we do are guided based on the priority of the countries. So please reach out to your local office.
And where is the office by chance in St. Lucia?
It is on the same level as the Ministry of Agriculture in this standstill, yeah, something like that building, right in Castries.
All right. Thanks.
Yes, it's on the same level as the Ministry of Agriculture.
All right, thanks.
Yes, excellent. And ICA currently, you could probably reach out to Brent Yothil. He works very closely with the some mushroom farmers, mushroom groups there in St. Lucia. So you could get more details from him. Or just send us an email on the CCRAF and we can get your contact and make that contact for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you. So before we take you, Craig, I'll take a question from the chat. So I know we spoke of the startup cost and so on, Pauline, but some persons want to ask in terms of the startup, what are the key material and equipment on a small level that you think they will need? Like, for example, fully closed, do they need lights, those sort of things?
Okay. You need a mushroom house. It's not the same as a greenhouse. So you need some kind of structure to grow the mushroom in. If you're just going to grow for yourself and your family and extended friends, then you don't have to be as concerned about what the structure is but don't think that you can grow it in your bedroom or something like that, or in your house, because mushrooms sporulate and you don't want to be inhaling the mushroom spores because they're always looking for places to grow. Once you have a room or something to grow it in, you're going to need 3 fans. You're going to need an intake fan to bring in fresh air. You need an exhaust fan, so it can be the same type of fan, just turned differently. And then you need a circulating fan to blow inside the space that will disperse the moisture and the oxygen and so on. You need a fogger, some way of producing mist, because you don't really want to take a hose in there and spray down your bags. You want to be producing mist, very light mist in the air to keep your moisture level up. And you need to make sure you have some form of light, because as I said, you need oxygen, moisture, and light in order to grow oyster mushrooms.
Okay? Excellent. Thank you.
Somebody from Suriname John is saying that in Suriname they use soil. No, you don't grow mushroom in soil. You may grow mushroom in compost, but that will be mushroom from the agaricus family, like portabella or common button mushroom and so on. But in Suriname, you have no shortage of free and abundant substrate because you grow rice. Rice hull, the waste from rice, is one of the best type of waste to use for growing mushroom. Rice hull, cottonseed hull, soya bean hull. All of those are great ingredients for oyster mushrooms.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, Craig, I will unmute you and then we'll take some other questions from the chat.
Okay, well, I just want to get back to Pauline, and we're going to escalate the challenge, Pauline. So basically, what we're going to do is the deal is you bring the mushrooms. Okay, I will have the chef prepare the mushrooms based on French cuisine. Okay, proper wine, and we will do a custom dessert with award-winning Grenadian St. Lucian honey. So, you know what we have to do is we have to find a wine producer, and that'll be the next call. How's that, Ika?
A wine producer, wine producer. That
What did I leave out, Pauline? What did I leave out?
you just left me and you out, and then I get permission from the husband.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm
We'll
I'm
invite him. Come on, we'll invite him. This is an inclusive
I'm
organization.
Canadian. I'm Canadian, so in a couple of weeks when I'm home in Canada, somebody from Niagara Falls, I will hit up a winemaker.
So Ontario, which province?
I'm in Ontario,
Ontario. See, I got that right.
Niagara region, the Niagara
Yeah,
region.
we have Travis saying that he provides produce wine. Where are you from, Travis?
Yeah,
Ooh,
well,
yeah.
I mean,
We
the
will
Lakes
take
region up there,
Jonathan.
The Finger Lakes is a good growing region. So I would salute that. That's a good area.
Travis is from Dominica. So we will be having the CCRAF on the road in Grenada this year. So
Coming to Grenada. I'm coming with you.
There you go.
I'm coming with you.
The office is developing the agenda, so we will see what is possible. We'll have some discussions with the various, because a lot of people said they want training on hydroponics, a lot want training on vermicompost, now a lot want training on mushroom. Of course, we will see as much what we are able to facilitate. Of course, Pauline and her team do provide those tailored services, same as Ms. Brazier provide those tailored services, as well as Micah provide those tailored services in terms of vermicompost, and Sherry Ann in terms of hydroponics, and our lovely Mrs. Smith in terms of the mushrooms. But we will be having the CCRAF on the road in Grenada, and we do have a lot of planning happening now, and we'll see some of what we are able to facilitate.
Great. Well,
So
I did have a quick question for Pauline after
go
that
ahead.
introduction. And at Hip, I have my colleague Anthea Joshua. She's on the call as well. She's the president of the Millthorpe Bee Association. So Hip. She has a long-standing relationship with Ika. So Anthea, thanks for joining the call. But Pauline, one of the things that Anthea and I are really working on seriously, and I love mushrooms. I love to eat them. I love the business model. I think it's a good fit, particularly for St. Lucia. We also have, I think, access to adequate facilities that we just need to upgrade. But having said that, what is the best way? We have different initiatives with youth and also different groups that have interest developing female rural-owned businesses. Is there a pathway to a specific project? And we don't need full details now, but I just wanted to throw that out because in the markets in Grenada that we're working in St. Lucia, that's really an initiative that I think we can really roll out pretty quickly, based on your vision and experience with those groups.
I think I'd be open to you organizing a Zoom just for me, you, and your team and my team, and we could do a brainstorming to look just how what I have and what you have. We just lost Chef McIntosh, and he used to work a lot with St. Lucia, and that we had like a once a year taste of Jamaica that in St. Lucia and all the smaller Eastern Caribbean islands would send representative to the chef competition, and they would bring key things from your country that to Jamaica, and it would be a 3-day competition for young chefs, and they would be mentored by the older, more established chefs on the island. And unfortunately, Chef Mac died, and so a lot of people have been looking for how can we do a partnership between our country and maybe some of the Eastern Caribbean countries to bring that kind of collaboration back. And a lot of great products came out of those chef competitions because the schools and the younger chefs had to prepare and make products, agro-processing products, and a lot of it went right onto the market. So I'm always excited about something like that. And a sweet mushroom, honey mushroom product, it is something I've been looking for a way to partner with for a long time.
Okay.
Because that was how the Indian industry went from being a 14 women's group to a $1.6 billion industry, because out of those collaborations, they came up with a lot of products like mushroom cookies, mushroom powders, and they started very different. From Jamaica, we're trying to serve fresh mushrooms, but the Indians didn't go from that angle. What they did was create a lot of mushrooms for agro processing. So if you don't have as big a tourism industry, you may just want to create lots of mushrooms to mix with your honey to create a product for the market, which would be unique to the Caribbean region. And if you did it right with the spices that are from your island, we could then apply for a geographic marker that would say, unless it has this in it and it has this type of thing that was made in Grenada, it is not, you can't use this label. So it's harder for people to mimic, like our jerk sauce. So we could go down that road, which is a very different road than selling fresh mushrooms to a large hospitality sector. Jamaica is one of the top 3 tourist destinations. So we can afford to say our industry is cooking mushrooms. But you may want to look at mushroom as a supportive player to creating unique products for your honey.
Yeah, you
Excellent.
basically you stimulate a couple thoughts, because we do have good relationships with the Grenada Tourism Authority that's very, very strongly backing food and cuisine, as part of the experience in the Spice Island of Grenada. So that's all low-lying fruit. The geo aspect is something we're very familiar with in basically protecting the uniqueness of our honey product. And because we do have a big product with fraudulent honey and low import honey, which is really not honey at all. So those are value points we really appreciate. I will circle back. I'm sure Anitha, Josh will be excited as well, and we'll engage with our team, and we'll circle back next week.
All
Okay, thank
right,
you so much.
I'll be open. I'm in Jamaica for another couple of weeks, well, 2 to 3 weeks. So if we do it sooner than later, it's better. And if not, it's harder when I get back to Canada to have that block of time to spend with you. So
Okay, so
Okay.
what would be a good time frame for you? Like the next couple of days or early next week?
no, the next week would be great.
Well, what to do, just send her an email and then you all could organize availability there, Craig.
Will
That's
do. Thanks so
fine.
much. Thank you so much.
Okay, I would have put the email in the chat and even the phone number so you all could make that direct contact. So while we're on there, of course, with the CCRAF on the road, we do send out in terms of sponsorship. So Craig, if you and your team are interested in collaborating with the CCRAF on the road, we are putting together a sponsorship package, or any other interested persons out there. It could be in-kind support, any financial support, so that we can have a nice CCRAF on the road in Grenada this year. Tentatively, we are looking at the week of May 18th. And so we are working towards that, and we will be sharing a lot more of the details and the publicity with you very soon. But we do look for partnerships. And so if persons are interested in partnering with us, we would also welcome that to help facilitate some of the other needs that we are getting out of those lovely sessions. Thank you so much, Craig, and thanks, Pauline. I will take one question for the chat, and then we will take you, Jonathan. So someone wants to know, Pauline, in terms of pH, is there a certain pH? So I'll give you 2 questions. In terms of pH, is there a certain pH the substrate needs to be at? And can you grow mushrooms in the hydroponic system?
Ooh. Um, I would worry a bit about, depend on what your moisture level, not so much your pH level, but your moisture level, because then you could run the risk of rot. If the mushroom needs between 85 and 95% humidity, and if it goes over that, and some mushrooms can't handle more than 90% humidity, so it becomes really difficult to grow it with your hydroponic because you have so much humidity sometime that is not controlled. I haven't found a way to incorporate it with hydroponic, but I'm eager and excited to try new things. But I think, oh, because hydroponic tends to grow more in a greenhouse kind of a structure. Uh,
Yes.
the humidity is not cool enough. It tends to be a hot, wet environment. And the biggest problems we have is keeping your mushroom grow room cool enough. In the case of ours, because we had the resource when we were building, we were able to dig a hillside down 30 feet and drop our building in that space in 30 feet. And then all the soil that was removed to create the space for the level space for the building, we took all that soil and we piled it on three sides of the building. So our building is kept cool by using the soil to create a bunker-like situation or a cave-like situation. Because of that, we have what is called passive cooling of our main facility. Um, Hydroponic would go the other way in that hydroponic is going to have a lot of hot, wet air and too much heat because the mushroom is producing heat. You get more than three grow bags in a room and the temperature start raising. That's why you have an extraction fan. The extraction fan is pulling all the carbon monoxide out of the room, but it's also pulling out the hot air and replacing it with cooler air. So I wouldn't recommend it as a business. I would say keep your hydroponic over in your greenhouse situation and then grow your mushroom. Because if you could deliver microgreens and mushrooms, you got a market thing happening.
Lovely. Okay, so we'll have Jonathan ask his question. Now go ahead, Jonathan.
I wanted to know if just to educate ourselves on the technical side, is there a book that you recommend?
Yes, as you can see, my office is like books. I would recommend growing mushroom. Hey, look in the training room on that desk if you see any books. There is a grandfather of mushroom cultivation called Paul Stamets. And he has a Bible in cultivating everything from oyster mushrooms to reishi and psilocybin. So get Paul Stamets' book. So that is Stamets, Stamets.
The practical guide to growing mushrooms at home?
I have all of his books.
Okay.
I have
so you could
all of
just
his
search
books.
for the this particular author in that case. Okay,
Yeah,
thank that.
I would go with Stamets. The problem with Stamets is that he's coming to you from America. And like I said, tropical mushroom cultivation is very different from regular mushroom cultivation. So he's going to recommend a lot of substrates that you can't get. You can't get hay, you can't get hardwood sawdust in large quantities, and he will give you a lot of stuff. But it educates you so that we're speaking the same language. We will talk about mycelium incubation, inoculation, and all of those. And that is a first step to mushroom cultivation, being literate on the terminologies of the industry. But I would start with that and then find a mentor who is growing
Okay,
mushrooms.
You.
great.
Jonathan, I'd love to.
Lovely. Excellent. That's very good.
Thank you.
So that would link directly into some persons asking, how do you know what variety in the tropics? What are the best varieties for the tropics? I guess again is the research, making contact with persons like yourself that are currently cultivating, Pauline.
Can you put that back in the fridge? There is an easy one. Oh, you know what's going to grow in the tropics? Is it warm weather? Can it fruit above 21 degrees Celsius? Because you may see something online, and like a popular one online is gray dove or lion's mane, because lion's mane mimics steak. If you cook it the right way, it mimics a chicken breast or it mimics steak. And everybody calls me. I must get 10 calls a week asking, do you grow lion's mane? No, because I would have to change the entire temperature in Jamaica, the climate, in order to grow it. So you have to grow what will grow in your area. Mushrooms that have reds and yellows and blues in them will grow in warmer temperature. So a lot of people will want to start with pink oysters. I don't recommend yellow oysters because it does have a bitter lemony taste. So you have to grow what will grow in your area. So when you're searching for spawn, everybody will tell you a good spawn producer will put a note in the description of the spawn to say this variety of mushroom fruits at 15 degrees. Well, skip it. It's not going to grow in Kingston, Jamaica. Because Kingston is going to be 25 degrees centigrade. So don't buy stuff that is going to need 15 or 16, and they will tell you. So first you've got to, if you live in the tropics, starts with mushrooms that will fruit at 21 degree or higher. And when you do that, you're going to have to grow it, and the first big one that you get, that when you grow whatever you buy from abroad, you're going to take that first big one and you're going to clone it. And by cloning, you're going to have to take a piece of the inside of that mushroom and you're going to have to put it on a petri dish. And you keep doing that until you train the strain that you have from abroad to behave the way you want it to behave in the tropics. The reason why we have so many different types of mushrooms is because we buy cold weather mushrooms and then we beat up on it. So a lot of the time you will lose 90% of what you buy, but you may get one champion that comes out of it and say, I can handle the heat of Jamaica. And so you keep working with that and you keep cloning that until you have a Jamaican strain that is your version of something that before would only grow in cold weather.
So you
And
definitely
that is
need to
why,
do your research as well, your own experiments.
and it is important to allow yourself to work with other people, because you will need the expertise of the other person. On our team, we have someone who understand the science and the technical nature of it. And somebody may say that can't be done. And he will find a way to coax the mushroom to behave as a tropical mushroom over a period of time. So we're always talking to people. The last ECA nation director, she would see mushroom growing in places across the island, and she would pick a little piece and bring it to us and say, hey, what can you do with this? But she was a scientist, so she could notice things. You need to build a community. Mushroom requires that you have a community of people, because somebody else will know something that you don't, and you share it.
Thanks, Pauline. Thank you so much. We were just about to take you, if you want to still ask your question. But with that, Pauline, we'll take the last few questions from the chat. So I'll probably give you 2 at a time. So in terms of the bamboo, do you use both the stems and the leaves? And can you sanitize with hydrogen peroxide? Is that recommended?
Ooh, somebody's high class. That is called a cold pasteurization. Buying that much, when you're pasteurizing tons of substrate, hydrogen peroxide for us would be very expensive. It also would require a longer period of time to soak the substrate in. But if you're just doing a small amount, and yes, go at it, do cold pasteurization. With bamboo, if you have the right machine, and I know they're making them in Japan, Brazil, and China at the moment. We're trying to find one to import. You can run the whole bamboo pole, leaves, sticks, and all in the right machine and get a bamboo sawdust kind of a product. And that would be ideal. That would be just amazing to grow a mushroom on. So yes, you can use all parts of it. With our machine, the machine is only able to cut up the lemongrass and to cut up the leaves and the small stems of the bamboo. So we're not yet producing bamboo sawdust, but that is the goal.
Okay, great. Thank you. So persons want to know, can you use egg shells or oyster shells in terms of for calcium?
Ooh, how many eggshells do you have?
But I guess possibly if it's someone buying a lot of eggs or growing chickens, I'm not sure. Okay, it would be quite a bit if you're going on a large scale.
You could use eggshells, but it's going to require you to wash out the residues of the egg, because that is one more contaminant that you're introducing to the process. And you may be introducing some other nutrients that may be good for the mushroom, but it may be bad for the mushrooms. So I would wash the eggshells out, and then you're going to have to grind it up so that it becomes a powder.
Okay.
I prefer to just buy gypsum or chalk.
Okay, so that would be easy, and you can get larger quantities. In terms of quantity?
Yeah, with chalk or calcium, limestone calcium, food grade limestone, which you can buy in Jamaica from the same people that produce it for orange juice and toothpaste and animal feed. So you have to go find someone who's producing it at a food grade, human grade level. But I'm running through 200 pounds of the stuff. So that would be a lot of eggs.
Yes.
That'd be a lot of eggs.
Well, in terms of availability as well, you would have to consider availability, quantity required, and all of that. But I guess if you have a small proportion available, then there is a possibility of using that. Okay, so the next final set of questions we have. So persons are asking in terms of substrates, the various substrates. Can you use dry grass, dry leaves, moringa, banana stalk?
All of them.
Yes, so you could use all
A
of those.
substrate that has moringa, that's a sweet softwood, that's a sweet wood. And sweet woods are things that humans can eat. So remember that a mushroom behaves a lot like people. It wants light oxygen and moisture, all the things that you need to live. Oyster mushroom wants it. So crush up some merengue and you got it. I don't the dry, you can use the grass dry or you can use it wet as long as it's pasteurized. And in your pasteurization process, you hydrate it.
Okay, so it's a matter of ensuring that you do the pasteurizing process properly.
Yes.
Okay, so our final two questions, someone wants to know, of course, it's focused around contamination. So would it be that obvious if you enter there that you'd see your mushrooms contaminated? That is question one. And if you could walk us through the procedure that yourself and your staff go through in terms of ensuring that contamination is minimized. I know you spoke of it a bit, but if you could give the process that you go through to ensure you minimize contamination of your system.
Minimize contamination is that first thing is that you have a space for when people visit you, whether you have a small production or you have a big commercial production like me. You do not allow people to walk in off the street and walk through your incubation, your production site, or your grow rooms. Your fruiting rooms should be off limit because when you run a microbe test on my mushrooms, I don't want to have the test coming back and saying there's a fecal count or there is something going on because mushroom absorbs everything. So keep your mushroom space clean. That's number one. Number two is using gloves like you're a doctor. Make sure that when you're touching stuff, you have gloves. Then remember that your number one job as a mushroom cultivator is that you're a cleaner. You have to clean your grow room. You have to clean your instrument. You're constantly sweeping and mopping and wiping things up because you're working in a warm, wet environment. The warm, wet environment encourages flies to lay eggs. It encourages mold to multiply because you're growing a fungus. You need to remember that the air is full of competing enemies. You're fighting against wild yeast. If you're, for instance, in the spawn production, when you're making culture, you could lose all your petri dish, and petri dishes are expensive, just the empty dishes. Then you have to put your food on the dishes. But after you fill the dishes waiting for the mushroom culture, if your room isn't clean, competing yeast will be in the air or bacteria or fungus. It will all just wipe out all the work that you've done. So keeping everything clean, that's how you minimize contamination. Keep yourself clean, keep your hands clean, put on your gloves. Don't let people walk through your harvesting space. And when it's time to pack the mushroom to send it to market, we use stainless steel counters. But if you don't have stainless steel counters, make sure you have a clean plastic cover on this thing. Wipe down with vinegar. If that, like, vinegar is your friend. Bleach for the floor, vinegar for surfaces that you're going to put your mushrooms on. or 99.9% alcohol. And you can buy those kind of things by the gallons from a medical supply store. So we don't have any mushroom supplier in the Caribbean. So what you have to do is you have to go and work with other folks. So you get petri dishes, 99% alcohol, and those things from the medical suppliers. And you will, so you have to work with what you have. You need to be creative.
Lovely.
But once you get
Yes.
going, you're only working less than 2 hours a day on mushroom. You can have a full-time job and go out and check your mushroom in the morning, go to work as a teacher or whatever, come home in the evening, check again, pick mushrooms and put it in your cooler. It's not taking up all the day.
Yeah, but you would need to do your background research, start up small, experiment with it, and then you could go full blown. So we have one last question in the chat. I know you mentioned we could start harvesting by about 4 weeks, but someone wants to also know how long is the bag itself viable for cultivation? So how long is your cultivation time span?
Ooh, good one. All right. Once you make a grow bag, that grow bag goes to sleep for 3 weeks. It has to go in the dark. It will start producing giving off a lot of heat because the mycelium, the culture you put in it, is running through the bag. It's eating, it's establishing itself, and it will go from being green to white in 3 weeks. Somewhere in that 3 weeks, you will look at the bag and you will see little baby mushrooms under the plastic. You then have to get a sharp, clean blade, cut the plastic from around the plastic from around where the mushroom is, and within 3 days, it will go from the little baby mushroom. It takes 3 days to become this size. At this stage, you're going to harvest. And harvesting is very simple. You're going to break it off. So now you have mushroom ready for weighing and packaging and so on. You're left with a hole where the substrate is now exposed. And if you have the time, you can then tape this bag up and go again. But notice what happens. For every pound you take of mushroom out the bag, you have less substrate in the bag. So every time you harvest, you're losing. See, all of a sudden, this bag that was big is not so big anymore. Because the actual mushroom that you just took off the bag has actually taken the food and translated it into the mushroom. So to answer your question, this is now a smaller bag. Can I have a new bag? See, when you compare the sizes for the bag, you see the new bag is heavy, it's 8 pounds. I've harvested from this bag a good 1.5 pounds. So this bag is now smaller and lighter. And this is going to keep happening every time you harvest. So this bag is going to last as long as there's food in the bag.
Okay. Lovely.
And it's going to produce based on your conditions. Because if you don't give it enough moisture, the mushrooms won't grow. If you don't give it enough oxygen, the mushrooms will start drying up. So how long does the bag last? In ideal circumstances, this bag can produce for 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay. So we could have a production span 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, we'll take that final question. I know we want to address as much of the questions, so we don't want anybody to leave and say, oh, I attended and we didn't get our question answered. I know, Pauline, you actually operating on a larger scale. So in terms of our last question, is there a space where yourself and your workers, you all change, shower before accessing the different parts, the different rooms of the operation?
Ah, like you said, my place is a bit larger, so you have showers in the building that houses the office and lab, and there are shower rooms in the new facility. But there are other ways to deal with it. Wear gloves and wear clean clothes. Around here, we mostly wear t-shirts, a lot of white t-shirts and work pants. So you can actually see what is going on. And then there's gloves. There's always gloves. You got to pretend you're going to a hospital.
Okay, very good. So as much less access of your skin on the mushroom, so you utilize a lot of the gloves. If needed, I guess you utilize masks and all of that. In terms of the grow bag, though, especially for those in Jamaica, where can they access it? Is it that it's produced by yourself, or there is a company that produces it?
We are it, love. I'm sorry. Our business model is based on the Jamaica Broilers business model, where our industry at the moment is a hub and spoke. So there's one big producer that produces the equivalent of a day-old chick, and that is Jamaica Exotic Mushrooms. So if you wanted to buy spawn, you would send us a request to buy spawn or mushroom seeds, some people call it. But if you don't want to deal with the spawn and you don't have the available substrate, we have people who just buy grow bags. They know they need 25 grow bags per week in order to produce. Each grow bag will produce an average of 3 pounds of mushroom over the first two flushes. Every time you harvest from a grow bag, it's called a flush. And then the grow bag rests for a little bit, and then it sends out more mushrooms. So over the first two flushes, you're supposed to get three pounds of mushrooms.
Okay, excellent. So we are going ahead into our wrap up now. And so with that, Pauline, I want to say special thank you for your presentation, for your support with this session, to you, the participants, and thank you so much for joining us. I know some of you had to leave, and so thank you for staying on. We do try our best to address a lot of the questions that you ask, and so we do tend to go a bit over time. And so we thank you for staying on. And Pauline, thank you for staying on the extra time to address a lot of the questions and to really share your experience on what to do, how to do it, and some of the things that you need to consider in producing the mushroom. So as I said, we do have the CCRAF platforms. Please go on there. I know some persons, the inboxes are filled. Please do not sync your Google photo on your phone because then you will not have enough space in your email. So if that is the case, please unsync and delete those photos and keep it on your phone instead of your Google Photos. Upcoming session, so this is the end of our beginner to business free-part webinar series where you will receive the certificate of participation. Once you have attended 2 or more of the sessions, a certificate of participation will be shared with you. Please allow me 3 to 4 weeks as I will be out on mission traveling in the next 2 weeks. So I'll be Jamaica on Monday and Tuesday. So hopefully, Pauline, we could probably meet Nelson, some of the other persons in Jamaica. I'll be mainly based in Kingston just for these 2 days. It's normally heavy working hours for us once we travel, so I'm hoping that we can get some time to meet with some of you. Just please contact us and we can try to organize to have a little meet with some of you. So our upcoming session, special edition, these are basically, we are providing the platform to you, any participant persons out there, any organization, institution, you have something to share that will benefit the sector, benefit the participants on here to help us further develop our agriculture industry. You can reach out to us and we can facilitate supporting you to develop a virtual session, okay? So you have what you want to present, we work with you to help you with the publicity material and all of that, and we put together a session that you will lead, and we provide all the platform and everything else that comes with it. So we will be starting our special editions on April the 15th. And so we'll be talking about intellectual property. You would have heard Pauline talk about all these specialty mushrooms, all these specialty products, agro-processing. And so intellectual property is very, very important as it relates to all of those things. And so we'll have Mr. Steve Maxime providing a specialized session as it relates to intellectual property. So if you are in the sector, if you are agro-processing, you have an idea, intellectual property is very important. So please join in on that session if you want to know more as to how you can go about safeguarding the things that you do, the things that you develop, okay? Many of you asked for aquaculture, so we will have Miss Mia Avril she's currently based in Bahamas, and they do a lot of aquaculture research and all of that. So she will be facilitating a session on aquaculture on April 22nd. So these are our two upcoming special edition sessions. As I mentioned, we are also trying to make greater connection to learn more from Africa. And so our first Africa Caribbean Connect session, we are looking at a tentative date of May 6th to have that first sharing sessions. And so it will be delivered in a storytelling kind of fashion, and the focus will be a lot on the importance of our soil. So once you're available, once you're interested, would love for you to join us. So before I close, I will ask you, Pauline, if there is anything of substance, anything of priority you would want. If there is one thing you want them to remember when they leave this session, what would that be?
Well, I noticed a lot of people are asking for contact information.
Yes.
For me. Jamaica mushrooms at gmail.com or mushroomsjamaica@gmail.com. And if you lose all of that, just Google Pauline Smith, Jamaica, and mushrooms, and somewhere in those articles will be my contact information. I have not changed my phone number since I came to Jamaica first 15 years ago. So it is 876-420-8908, and that's a WhatsApp number. So you can call me from anywhere. What I'd like you to remember is that mushroom always has a market. There is very few other products except honey where you can demand what you charge. And there is a need to develop more players in the mushroom. We need to develop a Caribbean mushroom value chain where you know where you can get tropical strains, you know where you can sell it. And we in Jamaica are really eager to work with everybody. We will help you with your startup, but it's more important that we start eating more mushrooms and less imported meats and other foods. So it was my pleasure to hang out with you guys for 3 hours. It's
yes.
It's not very
Exciting
often.
session.
It's not very often that I agree to give that much of my life I'm 68, so I'm very protective of what life force I have left. But it was indeed a pleasure to have met all of you and to prepare this presentation for you. Please consider becoming mushroom producers. And if you're not producing, at least start eating more mushrooms. Have a lovely, lovely life.
Thank you so much. And with that, we'll end. I'll just unmute everyone now. And so do have a lovely day, and hoping to meet some of you in Jamaica, tentative for Grenada the week of May 18th. And so please continue following our social media pages, LinkedIn, Facebook, X. Also check our YouTube channel. We're uploading the recording soon. Once the session is done, I'll download and upload them there. And of course, if you have any questions, anything, just email us and we will try our best to provide the guidance on our end. So with that, thank you everyone for joining us, and do have a
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
For
Have a
you.
great day, everyone.
Thank you, Miss Smith.
welcome,
Thank you.
Carol. Bye bye.
Remember,
Smith,
Jonathan,
thank
just
you.
ask
DJ
anytime
Carol,
you
thank
want.
you. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having me.
Leon. All the best.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to see you,
Thank
Hyper.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
See you
you.
next.
Thank you.
So see
Bye.
you for next session
Anil.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
and fixing up work.
Hi,
Thank you.
Sherry. Nice to see you. Thanks so much, Jonathan, for joining us. So take care. Have a good day, everyone, and all the best. See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Take
Keep us
care.
abreast of
Thank
the
you.
Welcome.
program.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, Raquel. Bye. Okay, ciao.